why are ball pythons so expensive? But in the same breath, why are some so much cheaper? With the seemingly infinite amount of variety in ball pythons, it seems like this definition of what is expensive evolves and changes. Theoretically, a video like this could end up being obsolete in about a year or two, and that's why we're going to talk about why they change and what determines what makes something so expensive versus so cheap. One of the best ways that we can look at this is to use Morph Market. Now, there's plenty of other ways people sell snakes, especially really, really expensive ones. Quite often, they won't release the gene on Morph Market to the general public because they kind of want to control who's working the gene, something that we'll be discussing a little bit later. But Morph Market certainly is a wonderful tool for being able to explore the most expensive and the cheapest ball python that are commercially available on an online website. So first off is a bunch of normals for 10 bucks. A normal ball python is literally what you would also call the wild type. It is the common dominant gene of what it shows out in the wild. Then you kind of jump into some simple het clowns to single gene like yellow bellies. We all know that when yellow bellies combined with other genes like asphalt, it really shows an extraordinary example of what it can do, but by itself it's just kind of normal. Some hets, and then one thing you'll also notice is that almost every single one of these is a male. Some females for the normals, but for any other genes, they're typically just males. That's because you're not going to be able to pass much into it. A normal female, at least, is always going to have the chance to reproduce any dominant and incomplete dominants that you breed to it, and then at least carry one het for any visuals. But a male, normal, it's never going to pass anything. And a male is typically going to breed to more things. So they're not incredibly valuable, but you start to see here that you have an overwhelming amount of snakes between 10 to 25 bucks that are normals, yellow bellies, or they are possible het for something, typically het clown. There's not going to be a whole lot of craziness that you see. And usually at a show, normals, I have seen them sell for anywhere from $25. I've actually even seen them jump up to 60 bucks when the market is really going. And that really is important because on Morph Market, they are going to have to pay for that shipping. You're not getting a $10 snake. You're getting closer to a $100 snake. For normals especially, it makes a lot more sense to buy at a show. But if we keep going here, it's just going to be between that to 40 bucks. It's going to be that for pages and pages. Now we're going to flip the script. We're going to look at the highest price ball python on Morph Market. So the first one that we're getting here is ironic because it's nice, but it looks a little more unassuming than a lot of the other ones. This pastel bang het clown possible het pied, and the bang gene is what's bringing all of that price up. After that, you're starting to see combos like this yellow belly spot nose, red stripe, enchi, firefly, clown, desert, ghost. You can start to see that these combos look quite a bit different. Look at this one from Mutation Creation. Lots of power there. It looks like it'll prove out as Het Monsoon, but this is a leopard special pied. That's 66% Het Monsoon, and Monsoon is what's driving all that price up. We look here at this Wookiee Black Pastel Mojave Banana Clown, which just looks insane. Literally peach colored, some pinks in there, and that one is a $10,000 snake right there. You have Proven Breeder Monsoon, and Monsoon does, well, that. It just creates all these little raindrops, which is where I think it got its name from. If it didn't get it from that, I don't know what. So you're starting to see either crazy combos that look really good, like the Pompeii here, which is probably one of the most incredible looking combos that you can get. And this is one visual recessive. That's clown and your incomplete dominance, black pastel, red stripe, spot nose, and yellow belly. Funny how we looked at a yellow belly earlier. That was, what was that, 25 bucks, 10 bucks? But here it is in a combination for $10,000, and these sell. Now, on the flip side, you have something different here. Most of these monsoons are just one gene, similar to how the bang I mentioned earlier. That one was really being driven by one gene. Actually wanted to reset. I've been having some filter issues lately, but you can see that there's actually even a lot more expensive snakes on here, starting at actually $25,000. Not to discount those ones from before, they're actually important examples of the variety of the high prices that you can get. But there's a pastel Desert Ghost Clown pied here. That's $25,000. That's absolutely insane. But that is 3 recessives hit right there, and it looks good at the same time. It's incredibly rare and difficult to get, and not a lot of people have done that. There's a Sunset Het Ultramel, and Sunset is a recessive combo, so 2 copies of the Sunset gene put together to hit this, but it also has Het Ultramel in it as well, driving that price up since now you can attempt to create the Sunset Ultramel with this. Moving down, you can see a lot of insane combinations here, and then maybe even something that's just one gene that is driving all of the price. Now you see a lot of clown clowns in this. So let's just look at a single gene clown. What is a single gene clown worth? It must be worth a lot, right? Well, not so much, because you can get males for as low as $100 mark, I'd say. Females are always going to be a little bit more for these types of combinations. Usually at shows, they're about 150, which is what they are typically here. I think for our first result, normally they're just a sale right now. But yet we just saw combinations with the clown gene with prices in the 4 digits. I could look at examples of cheap versus expensive snakes all day for you, but I mentioned earlier that this part of the video could become obsolete. So why is it that an animal that you can get for $25, you can also get for $25,000? Google's new AI answers the question why ball pythons are so expensive, as ball pythons can be expensive because they are low production animals with unique genetics. And it's actually surprisingly not wrong. The average that you hear is 6 eggs per female. When compared to some colubrid snakes like hognoses and corn snakes, they have a lower production rate. Now, ball pythons certainly don't have a issue being represented. They are the most represented by and large. But since they are lower production, the genetics, when you're working them through in the ones that are more expensive, take a lot longer to hit the combinations you want. So introducing a new gene is what I would say is a minimum 5-year plan. And we're going to try to keep it somewhat simple. So we're going to use a dominant or co-dominant along with our fake made up new recessive gene that we just discovered. And we just so happen to have a visual version of this onyx is what we'll call it. So we have our onyx, and we would like to also get GHI into the onyx. So we want to get GHI onyxes. So how does that look? Well, let's use the example that we have a male onyx. And this male, from the time we get him, is going to take about roughly a year to year and a half to get up to size, sometimes even up to 2 years. Then let's just say we breed him to a GHI female. That GHI female, we're going to assume, is already at size by the time that our onyx boy is getting up to size. So we take this onyx once he's ready and breed him to the female, and we get our eggs. So what needs to happen for us to get our genes together? Well, we are going to need to hope that we hit on 2 different things at the same time. Let's just assume we get our 6 eggs on average. Everything that we look at will be this het for this onyx. So that part is taken care of. But the part we don't know what is going to happen is which ones are going to be male and female, and how many times we're going to hit on GHI. Should be 50%, and we should also have theoretically a 50-50% chance of getting males and females. But of course, we all know that's not exactly how it works, but it's all we can really go by is the flip of a coin. So we have to hope that we hit a female that is also GHI at the same time. Not a crazy hard thing to do, but it is completely within the realm of possibility. That doesn't happen, because if we get 6 eggs, theoretically 3 should be GHI. Now we have to hope that just one of those is a female, because we are going to take that female and grow it up for another minimum of 3 years. Remember, these are minimums. This assumes everything goes right. Now we take that original male and breed it back to the female. I know that might sound gross, but it is perfectly fine when it comes to reptiles, as long as it isn't happening for generations and generations. And that is where we will have our chance to hit the GHI onyx, because she would be het onyx and GHI. So now 50% of the time we will hit the onyx. Every other one will be 100% het. And 50% of the time the GHI will come along. Now we have to hope that we hit the GHI and the onyx at the exact same time. It's about a 5-year minimum. Maybe you can get lucky and everything can go perfect and you can shave it down to 4, but it's unlikely that that's going to happen. Now try to combine that with everything else and realize why something could be so expensive. This makes it a one of a kind animal. So when you do release it, you effectively set the price on what that is, and you should probably be careful on who you release it to. Even if someone's willing to throw money at it, what are they going to do with the gene? How will that affect the future of it? How will that affect your future? So people are very selective sometimes, at first at least, when they are releasing a gene, because they want to make sure it goes into the right hands that will be able to utilize it in a way that helps market the gene, because you're all in this together at this point. You are kind of competitive, sure, but you are trying to market a superhero effectively with this, and you want it to look good. There's a lot of moving parts when it comes to this, but that is effectively why some are so expensive. And you always go back to something is only as expensive as what someone will pay for it, right? Well, people will pay for it. Back when the banana gene came out, it was selling for upwards to $25,000, with reports of some people paying $50,000 for the banana gene morph. Now, the chances of people finding a morph in their own collection is rare, at least a morph that is visually marketable. There's probably a lot of morphs that have been lost to time, and that is because they are not marketable. They have nothing unique when they combine with other things either. And therefore, what would affect it is the central point of everything that we're talking about here, and that is supply and demand. And supply and demand is really driven by rarity or scarcity or desire. You have normals, which are very easy to reproduce. They don't have anything useful in terms of a project for their looks, versus an animal that is so rare that only maybe a handful of people have it. And there's different levels of rarity as the project begins to get worked. It could be argued that maybe we don't even know all of them. Some people might be holding on to things to reveal it at a certain time. There's a lot of secrecy sometimes. Some of it is unnecessary for sure. However, some of it I definitely do understand, because you want to be careful with how you choose to reveal your product. I say it like that because these are living animals, and I think it shouldn't be lost on people that this is very much a video which I am portraying them as commodity items. But it is important to realize that these are a luxury good. I prefer to still view them as living creatures, but supply and demand has dictated that the monsoon is $10,000 and that the normal is $25,000. Now, rarity is not the only important thing, because I could hit a animal with 10, 11, or 12 genes, and that should theoretically, just based on rarity, determine that I am going to get an animal that is so unbelievably expensive. But that is not at all the case. What it is you need something that's marketable, that looks so awesome and has a lot of rarity. It's why banana inchy clowns, which look awesome but are more available, have come down in price. Now combine how awesome they look with the rarity. That is the recipe for creating something that's super expensive. Now, I'm not saying that you should go for that. Everyone has a place, I think, in this community as to what they want to create, what they want to do. So there's a lot of reasons why the same exact species costs between $25,000 to $25,000, and that is going to keep evolving, and it will never stop evolving. The charm of ball pythons is that there's so many frontiers that have not been explored. It's what drives people to love them, because human beings at heart are explorers, and we don't get to explore anymore. The whole world has been discovered, so we have to figure out different ways to explore, and this is one of them. If you like this video, you can actually check out many of the other times we've discussed the topic of genetics right here and here.